Hello, my name is Daniel Serrano. I am a client services engineer at Forest Systems, and today we're going to be talking about data aggregation for investments. Our data aggregation partner is called WealthTex, and the process begins with our clients reaching out to Forest Systems, and we'll need to know the custodians. So you provide a list of custodians as well as the account numbers that you want to receive transactions for. After providing that information to WealthTex, they will reach out to those custodians and start to establish a relationship with those custodians so we can actually receive, format, and organize that data in a manner that Forest System software can read and then upload and eventually post into the general ledger. The process for the client is simple. They will simply reach out to Forest Systems with a list of the custodians as well as their account numbers. Forest then will relay that information over to WealthTex and begin the process to establish a connection with those custodians in order to receive transactions, reorganize them, and format them in a way that is readable by Forest Enter, and eventually make them available for you to post into your general ledger. When that connection is established, Forest Systems will take a look at that data to make sure the formatting is correct. Once it passes that check, we will begin to notify the client that those transactions are available and that they are ready for them to go into Forest Enter, view them, and post them. Now, one disclaimer here, we do not have the broker statements to actually vet the accuracy of the data coming from the custodians, so we will need to work with the users to a certain degree to ensure that the quality of data is coming through as it should. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and open up Forest Enter, and we're going to open up a broker cash account. I am in a doing very good entity, which is one of our test entities, and we're going to be looking at the Hilo account for December of 2021. So we're going to click on the import button, but before that, we're going to click on journal options. And if you notice, there are two tabs here. We're going to click on import options, and here we have a few options. One is the security name. The second is the payee name. There's add security to chart of accounts and the account number at the very top. The account number needs to match the account number that's coming from the data that's being sent over from the custodian. A feature in Forest is this autofill security name. Forest Enter will actually take by transactions, identify the name of the security or the investment, and then based on the other tags that are coming in through the feed, can formulate a name and create that account in your chart of accounts. You can tell the system how you want to format that account name by these options right here. Keep your eyes focused on this example right here. We're seeing Google, we're seeing a date, and then we're seeing a qualifier. You have the option to use symbol, you want to use name and symbol, you want to use all uppercase. Any options here, you can explore, toggle them on and off, and eventually decide on what format you want to have your account name. Once you set on a format, you can go down to the add security to the chart of accounts. At this point, we have the availability to create those accounts in one category in your chart of accounts. You'll have to go in and move them manually. But if you have one section for all stocks, you can just pretty much put them all in that one section. The name feature on the right simply fills out the payee for you for all buy transactions. If you wanted to have a different payee, depending on investment vehicle, bond, stock, option, you name it, you have these options here to have different payees. If you just have no preference on discriminating between investment vehicles, you can just type in asset or security or some other general term and just copy and paste down the line. Once we do that, we click on save. And then we can go ahead and click on the import button. We see that same account number that we saw in the journal options or the import options. But now, like the aggregation for banks and credit cards, we select file selection here. We select the monthly file and click on import. If you have more than 1 month's worth of data, you'll see multiple files. But like the data aggregation for banks and credit cards, the system will remember certain transactions based on the tags that are coming through, so you won't have to populate all this data yourself or key in all this information yourself. If you look closely at these buy transactions, you actually can see that the characters or the words are actually italicized. This just basically tells you that the system, the features that it just described in the journal options window, that's the end result of those features. We see Big Kids Toys Inc. That is an account that is not in your chart of accounts as of yet. So if we click post, the system will create that account and then post the transaction for you. Now, as you can tell, not all of the fields have been populated. We have we have 3. We have one payee. I actually cleared this one, so you have the option to clear the system's memory in case you wanted to, in case it's populating with the wrong payee or the wrong account. But here I'm just going to go ahead and click on dividend. We'll come down, and this is Burrito Bell. I just clicked tab, and the account automatically populated. This feature in Forest Enter is actually called the reoccurring transaction. So the system will identify the payee based on the memo and the tags coming in from the feed, and then if that payee is mapped to a particular or specific account, the system will use that reoccurring feature to populate the account for you. If the wrong account is being populated, you can always just overwrite it on the screen. If it's consistently incorrect, you can go into the reoccurring transactions tab and just automate and correct the configuration of that payee and map it to the correct account. Now this last field that's still blank will always be blank. The reason being is because it's a partial cell. Now, the only way that I know that it's a partial cell is because I built this data, so I know that it's a partial cell. But the other clue is the system can't find an account with a matching quantity and a matching symbol. So it doesn't know which one to choose. Now, the neat thing about Forest is we have this split cell window up here. If we click on this guy, we get a new window, and we actually see all of our lots or all of our accounts that share that same symbol, and it'll tell us, how much quantity is there available to sell, and we have these quick click buttons up here. So first in, first out, minimum gain, number of shares, last in, first out. Whatever relief method you have, you can just do a quick click there to get it. If none of these are matching and they're doing some customized lot relief method, you can always click on the quantity to sell column and manually key that in. There are zeros there, so if there are mutual funds where you have partial or fractional shares that are being sold, you can actually click the period and enter those fractional shares if you wanted to. There is a summary at the bottom. So at the bottom you'll see how much is being sold, how much is still remaining to be assigned and from where. But with that, once you've got all that set up, you'd want to match your gains and losses amount with your broker statement. Once you know those are correct, we can go ahead and click on OK. And then the system, if there's more than one lot that's being sold, will adjust accordingly. So here we see we have mousetrap twice. Before we had that split cell window, there was only one. A few other things we want to talk about before posting transactions are these options up top. This Remember Payee option allows the system to memorize the tags associated with a certain transaction. So next time it identifies a transaction with those same tags, it would automatically populate the payee that was last used with those tags. And then it causes a domino effect by going to the recurring transactions and pulling in the account. The Remember Account feature will update the recurring transactions. So if you have a payee and you're now consistently going to be using a different account, you don't really have to go to the recurring transaction screen to change it there. Just simply toggle that guy on, make sure it's checked on, and then the recurring transactions will automatically get updated. The last option here is Match Symbol. And this guy, when you turn it on, actually works with the buy and sell transactions. So if we were to go to buy a transaction and click on the account drop-down menu, we see only accounts that share the same symbol as the symbol that's coming in from the feed. If you wanted to see all your accounts in the chart of accounts, simply uncheck that guy, click that account name again, and now we see all of our accounts from the chart of accounts. This would be needed if, for example, you want to create the accounts manually in your chart of accounts. Simply toggle that guy off, and you'll be able to see those manually created accounts from your chart of accounts. But now that that is all set, we can go ahead and click on Post Completed Transactions, and the system will go ahead and post those transactions for you. Now, depending on how many transactions you have, this may take a minute or two, or even several minutes if you have, a large volume of transactions. We click Cancel to get out of that screen and go back to your actual transaction grids. These are the transactions that are actually in your general ledger and will have an effect on reporting. And that is the tutorial for data aggregation for investment transactions. Thank you for joining me.